everyone, to Textiles and Tea with the Handweavers Guild of America. I'm Kathy Group, and I get to be your host today. We want to thank our sponsor today. It's Lojam Wheels. Go check them out. They're a new company with some older and experienced names you'll recognize. They have a lovely selection of looms and especially some gorgeous wheels. So if you're in the market to look at a new wheel, go check them out at Lojan Wheels. You'll be impressed. Beautiful, beautifully made. As always, we'll take your questions today, but they're the last 15 minutes. And if you would please put those in the Q&A and not in the chat. Love your comments in chat, but I can't always see them. So if you put them in the Q&A, I'll be sure to get to them if we have enough time. So thank you for doing that. We're so excited today. We have Klaus Anselm. Klaus was born in Eastern Germany. After studying medicine, he moved to the United States and practiced in Colorado until his retirement in 1999. He started weaving in 1998 at a workshop in Taos given by Rose Vigil of Chimayo. And then he studied with James Koehler in Taos, Santa Fe, and at Penland. He now weaves at the Belfast Fiber Arts Studio. His tapestries have been exhibited throughout the country. They are sold into private collections in the United States and Europe. He is a member of the American Tapestry Alliance, the Handweavers Guild of America, Tapestry Weavers South, and the Midcoast Weavers of Maine. And we are so excited to have him here today. Hey, Klaus.
Hello.
Come join us.
I'm here.
It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to see you too.
We're going to start with the first question, which is our silly question. What is your favorite tea?
Well, I suppose Irish breakfast and an Allagash white.
Now the second one I'm not familiar with. What's that?
That's a local beer.
You're my kind of weaver, Klaus. You're my kind of weaver. Oh, you got me on that one. If you would, you have an interesting history of how you got started in weaving. Would you tell us about that? How did you get started in weaving?
Well, I've always enjoyed textiles, and living in the Southwest, of course, I've been always more exposed to it than you would be any other place of the country. And I thought, as I was about to enter my retirement phase, I thought I ought to do something other than just sitting around and thinking about life. So I went to to a local art center who had a small group weaving class on looms, and I did that for a couple of times, and I thought, oh, that was kind of interesting. And then I went around and bought a larger loom, and that was the end of it, or the beginning of it. It took me forever to work the loom and to figure out how it operates, but that's history. Now I just love it.
So was the center where Rose was, or was working with Rose later?
No, the center was the Sangre de Cristo Art Center in Pueblo, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
But I went then to Taos.
Oh, that's right. Roses and Taos.
Yeah, at that time they had a Taos Center for the Arts, which is gone now, and they contracted with a variety of weavers to teach weaving classes. And Rose Vigil was from Chimayo, and she gave beginners classes, which I took. And I enjoyed it, but it was sort of okay. I wasn't really passionate about it, and until I saw in the Handwoven magazine an article about James Koehler and looked at his work, and I thought, wow, that's what I like. And wouldn't you know it, within the next weeks or so, I saw an announcement that he was also giving a tapestry class at the art center in Taos, and I joined there, obviously, and that's really where I got started and got excited about it, and it's my passion. There we are. Yeah, I studied with him a number of times in in Taos, also in Santa Fe, where he was located at the time,
Hmm.
and at Penland in North Carolina. And I'm back into his studio on a one-on-one sessions on style, on design, and color and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a slow process, but it's a wonderful craft, and I just love it.
Well, we're glad you found it. We're glad you found it. Um, I was curious, how did you get to the United States? Lucky for us, but how'd you get to the United States? Why did you decide to move?
Well,
And did you go, and you went straight to Colorado? You went straight to the Southwest, right?
no, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Uh, when I finished medical school in Munich, I saw a little announcement on a blackboard for an exchange program for a rotating internship, which I accepted. Was more like a slave trade because of to bring cheap physician labor over here. But it was fine. It was for a year, and when I was here, I had a little bit of an American background. My grandmother was American, and so
Oh, okay.
I went to their family, and that's where I met my wife as well. Um, but I had to go back to Germany because I was only on an exchange program, and so you had to stay 2 years out of the country. And then I came, and I decided, well, the education and the training and the opportunities are much better here in this country, and so I came. That's it.
That's wonderful. So where did you start in the US? Which
Oh, I
city?
went to first. Before I really got going, I was in Princeton in New Jersey,
Oh, okay.
local hospital just to do kind of get a warm up, and then I took a regular internal medicine residency in Boston, and then a fellowship in gastroenterology in Detroit at the Henry Ford Hospital.
Wow.
And from there, then eventually in 1972, we moved to Colorado.
What city were you in there?
We uh, we started, several friends of mine, and we started a multi-specialty clinic in Pueblo, Colorado, which is south of Colorado Springs.
Uh-huh.
And we found a place to live in the foothills, which was wonderful.
Oh, yeah, it's just beautiful there. Well, I think that I'm always curious because of how different parts of the world view different kinds of arts and everything. Did you see a big difference between how like Germany or Europe viewed fiber arts and how the United States views fiber arts?
I don't
Kind of
think
looking back on it now.
Yeah, I don't think I can give you a really good answer on that because I was really not exposed to fiber arts in Germany. Only
Uh-huh.
what I've seen here or in publications, and it's pretty much the good quality fiber art is there as just like here. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
big difference. Yeah. It, there probably is a more of a difference between the weaving and fiber art you have on the East Coast here and the Southwest. That's much more of a contrast. Yeah.
What kind of contrast have you seen there?
Well, I think one of the stronger colors in which I really enjoy working with, more stark designs, more, you know, utilizing not only the architecture of the Southwest, but also the landscape, the canyons and the open country, and which really appeal to me. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk more about that because there's this gorgeous piece we're going to look at. So,
Okay.
so we'll get to that. Um, One thing I was curious about is that you describe yourself, I love this. You described yourself as a type A personality and that you are, job done. That's you, get it done. And tapestry is not a hurry up and get it done kind of thing. I mean, it's very
No,
slow and you got to go at your own pace. So,
that's
how does that personality type mix with a very slow craft, a slow art?
Well, it was a little difficult in the beginning, but I think I've done this now for over 20 years, and I think doing tapestry or weaving tapestry has changed my personality. I've become much more contemplative. I've become more tolerant, and easy to be with, as my wife will testify.
Well, that was my next question. If we ask your wife, That's amazing. That's wonderful. See, it gives us all hope that, those of us who aren't patient enough or whatever, that fiber will help us with that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, your work is beautiful. I love the simple lines with the bold colors, and like your work just creates these really strong statements. And you always say that you want maximum expression with minimum detail. So would you talk about the appeal of that? And this is one of your works that I think is
Right.
very good at that.
Well, of course, this is just a detailed part of the piece, but as you can see, I do use a bold color, but
Uh-huh.
I still uh, work on some detail in the background, as you can see in this pattern with the blue, the different changes of blue. But I think when you talk about strong colors, it just catches your eye.
Hmm.
And it captivates you more than the detail. Now, that's just me. I mean, there are many people who are very wonderful at more detailed tapestries. Uh, I find that the more minimalist type of is sometimes a little a little more difficult because you think this is going to be boring. I'm going to go for a long stretch on this one, and you wonder how it's going to turn out. You have nothing to look at for quite a while. But I love this way, the strong contrasting colors that catch your eye like this, like
Hmm.
like this piece here. Yeah.
I think for a lot of us, we know that it's hard to stop, you know, don't keep adding, just stop. And I think that's so hard for people to do. I know
Yeah,
it is for me. Yeah.
right.
So, your simple lines are an example of this next picture, which I loved because it added in the perspective. You just feel like you're getting pulled in to this piece. Yeah, with this strong perspective, you just feel like you're getting pulled in, and
Yeah.
you're heading somewhere. Um, is that what you were going for, or is just that my reaction?
No, I think in a way you're right. I thought I was, when you do this, or when I do this, I always sort of experiment. I don't off Many times I don't even start with the concept of what it's going to be, uh, and I may start with some drawings and that. Oh, this looks really good, and so I'm going to continue in that direction. Uh, in this piece here, I definitely was looking for, uh, let's see, perspectives and depth,
Hmm.
uh, and I think that turned out okay.
Yes, it did. But just the energy in it, it's just magnetic. It's just beautiful. This next one is called The Morning Voice. And I love this one because it has like a window frame, right? And when
Right.
I'm standing there looking at it, it's like, am I on the inside looking out or I'm on the outside looking in? And again, is this another result that you want? Was this something that you were going
Yes.
for?
The idea was to look out rather than in. And again, here is another case where I was trying to experiment with the light effect to give you sort of like a morning or a sunrise light, and that's what it's about.
All right, Liz Adams always nags me about this. All right, Liz, what is the size of this piece?
This was, I think, probably about 30 by 30, something in that range.
Inches or centimeters? Inches?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I love it, and you have such subtleness in it. I mean, you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, there's this blue and the black, but there's also these subtle edges that you add, kind of a gradation in the red, and then the
Right.
two shades of blue. Now, is this more of a? I know you've done most. I mean, both. You've done cityscapes and you have done, wilderness pieces. Is this more of a cityscape, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. It's somewhat the shapes are uh, sort of southwestern in style, and and I used the purpose of that was really to use the gradation of the red to see to get the effect of that.
Mm-hmm. I love these works. These are amazing. So in this next piece, it's called Lawrence Folly. You use shadows and color highlights to give this wonderful 3D effect. So would you just tell us about this piece, how it came about?
That's a little different. Actually, it started with a drawing that my granddaughter sent us for Christmas. And
Oh, really?
I thought, this is something I could weave. Uh, and I added the shadows, but I thought without the shadows, it would be a little bit on the flat side. And I guess it worked.
Oh, it worked beautifully. I think about Cezanne, that when my first class in art school, right, he brings up this painting of Cezanne and he says, there's an orange here and there's an orange here. Where do you put the third orange? And everybody said, right there. And that's what I think of when I look at this, is how balanced it is. Those three oranges are perfect, perfectly in place.
But that's not the way the original little sketch was for my granddaughter. But
Oh, really?
I saw it rearranged the different color areas. Yeah.
So tell me about the checkered board. I see that from time to time.
Well, I think I've used, as you can look at my website on other pieces, I've done that a lot in different varieties because I
Mm-hmm.
think it gives a good background and provides some overall depth and it creates a good image. And it brings up what else you have here, like for example the shape here, or others I've done. They stand out more against a checkerboard. And I've done it, I've done some pieces where I only have part of it or a small area of it,
Mm-hmm.
or a strong black and white.
Yeah, the
Different
piece.
varieties of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the piece toward the beginning, I think one of the first ones we showed, I didn't say anything about it, but I loved how you had it wasn't perfect checkered board, but you had two
Yeah.
shades of blue behind it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, it just makes the back kind of, I don't know,
Uh,
dance or
It,
move or
it
something.
provides the contrast for you
Yeah.
to appreciate the shape more.
Well, I want to ask you about color. I'm always curious when, like if I'm weaving something but not tapestry, I've already decided the colors. So Mandy, can you bring that back up, would you please? Thank you. On these colors, when you're weaving them, do you know ahead of time, okay, these are the colors I'm going to use?
Most
And I'm assuming you can always go in and take them out, but do you know ahead of time this is what I'm going to use?
No, no, taking out is a very unpleasant experience.
Yes.
No, I plan ahead what the colors I use,
Mm-hmm.
and I always try to make sure I have enough of it, so I don't run
That's
out of
true.
it.
Well, somebody's asking already, but we'll bring it into this question also is, um, do you use a cartoon? Do you have a drawing ahead of time behind the loom?
I don't use a cartoon. Because most of the weavings you've seen were done on a horizontal loom. But I've made a drawing and usually go measure this as 5 inches from there and 3 inches from there, and then draw it on the warp.
Okay. All right. Well, we've all experienced pandemic in our own way. I mean, um, like we're still talking about it and how it impacted our lives and that sort of thing. And then you've talked about this work, which is called The Pandemic Painted. I love this piece. I just love this piece. Another one I want to see in real life. I want to see the detail of it. But I'm curious, as a doctor, how did you view pandemic as an artist or as a doctor? Or how did it infect you as an artist or a doctor? Comparing the
First of
two.
all, being a doctor was so way past in my other life that I really uh, didn't do much about the pandemic itself. Um, and I thought, for some reason, I thought this was an appropriate title, even though it was done under different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I was wheelchair bound when I did that one because he had a broken leg, and
Oh,
so I couldn't go down into the studios. I had my little table loom and did the small pieces, and then put them on top of a plain weave.
oh, wow. So how big is this piece?
This is about 18 inches tall, about 25 or 28 inches, about 30 inches wide.
Wow. It's just gorgeous. I just love the curves and the waves in it. Like it just flows across, and then turns back and flows back the other way. It's
Thank you.
just beautiful. Um, so we're going to go back now and talk about the Southwest. So many artists have relationships. One of my friends who's an artist moved out to Taos. I'll never forgive her. But so many people have headed that way. Rebecca's watching and she's from out there. So what was it about that Southwest scenery? And looking at this piece, I think is a lovely way of showing the Southwest scenery. What was it about the scenery that spoke to you? You've talked some about it, but would you talk more?
Well, first of all, I've done a number of pieces before this that are large and just a single theme here. And this one here, I have several images pressed together on one piece. Uh, what I like about the Southwest, of course, is again, as I mentioned before, the colors, the whole atmosphere, the landscape, the architecture. It's just all uh, it's just very stimulating.
Hmm. Do you ever work outdoors? Do you ever take your loom out and weave? I know some people like doing that.
No, and the loom I used to do all these pieces on weighs about 300 pounds, and it was a little difficult.
That would be a little tough, wouldn't it? It would be tough.
Because this is a pretty large piece.
How big is this one?
I think it's, oh dear, I would think about 40 inches wide and 35 inches tall, something like that.
Wow. And it's got that lovely checkerboard again.
Yes.
Beautiful.
You can see again from this one how the little images come out much stronger because of the checkerboard. If you'd had to
Right.
put it on a plain white or plain gray, I don't think it wouldn't look that good.
Hmm. And these colors are beautiful. They just speak to you, don't they?
Yes. If you look at my website, there are some larger images particularly the Grand Canyon, and of course these are all canyon images. But we did a couple of raft trips down the Grand Canyon, and I did a number of sketches, and I used those for my weaving projects. Yeah.
Is that your usual routine to go out and sketch and then come back and find
Well,
a piece from that?
nowadays I use my iPhone. If you see something colorful, like for example that tapestry you've seen earlier with the canoes. I took a photograph with my iPhone of a one of those racks that you used to find all over here with canoes, and because they're so colorful, and I thought that would be a great way to do a tapestry.
That's great. I love that. I love that.
I've done the same thing with some other countrysides or some other images. There's one is on my website too. Is somewhat like this. I've done a number of some individual images from in a small town in France, and I've used that again for I think 6 or 8 images inside the tapestry. It's just it was just a way I've tried to experiment, and I've not done it since then, but it was fun.
The next piece we're going to look at is an interesting piece. When I was when I was in college, I had a teacher that said, um, if you want to understand an artist, look for the work that's different. And this is very similar in so many ways, but it's not so big and bold. It's more subtle, I think, than some of your other works. What do you think this work says about you?
Uh, again, it's difficult to explain, but I don't sit down with this image in mind. I so sit down with a with a sketch pad and sort of diddle around, and somehow some shapes develop, and oh, so I kind of like that, and I could use my system of gradation on this one, and then uh, use a little bit of Fibonacci on the color spots, you know.
Ah.
Uh, so it kind of develops on its own. You know, I couldn't tell you that I really planned doing that way, but it just came out that way. Does it
Now,
make?
how big is this piece?
This is I guess it's pretty tall. It's I think it's about 35, 40 inches tall and about 25, 26 wide.
Wow, it is big. It is very big. And
That's been exhibited in a couple of shows and museums, and
when I look at it, I think of dancing figures,
yeah.
arms waving in the air. It's just got such a nice flow to it. There is an exhibit that was um, at the Fuller Craft Museum,
Yes.
and it was a few years ago, and I wish I could have seen it. I think the topic is brilliant. It was called Gender Bend, and it was women in wood and men in the loom, men at the loom. And you were in it, and this was your piece that was in that show. Now I know you said you didn't get to go see the show,
Right.
but I'm just interested. And the men that were in it were amazing. It was like Archie Brenner,
Oh
Mike
yeah.
Brody, John Eric
Oh,
Reese, who we just had on the show, Murray Gibson, who was on the show,
I
and
really felt honored to be included. That was really great.
odd. Why would it be odd?
I'm honored.
Oh, I thought you said odd. I was like, no, you belong there. But well, looking back on it now, what was it like to be in that show, even though you didn't get to see it, but between the people who were there and also the theme of it?
I think first of all, I thought the whole idea of the show was wonderful. Um, but it
Mm.
also showed the variety you can get out of the tapestry art. You know, there are no two alike as you look at the variety of the images. And I think that was really, and it was very challenging to have something that really fit in with the quality that was presented.
Oh, now this one's called New York, New York, right? This is
Yeah.
images from New York City.
Yes. That's probably one piece that I did not design myself. We were visiting my brother-in-law, who is an architect and lived in New York, and he showed me a couple of sketches he's done. He said, "Oh, I like this one. I'm going to try to work on that," and that's what it was. That's how it turned out.
What a great collaboration.
Yeah,
And
that was.
again, the colors are wonderful. How you bring again that contrast with the orange and I mean the yellow and the blue. I love those contrasts in there.
It took me a long time to do that. I tell you that.
Okay, let me bug you again. How big is it? I don't want Liz harassing me.
This is
How big is this one?
50 inches tall and about 28 wide.
Okay. You began weaving later in life and just took off. So like a year before you retired, right? You started
Yeah,
weaving.
that's right.
So what do you think the advantage is of starting later rather than when you're younger?
Well, I don't know the advantage of it because a number of times now I'm thinking I wish I started earlier. uh, Maybe when you started a little later, you're more determined, more focused.
Mm,
Maybe you have more time when you're retired. You know, if I'd started doing this while I was working, I probably would never have gotten anywhere because I was too busy working. Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard,
Uh,
especially as a doctor. Yeah.
but you know, when we look back, we thought, I would like to start much earlier, and maybe even like to raise our own sheep and have our own wool and all that kind of stuff. But of course, we didn't do that.
Well, the next question is kind of an open-ended, just curious, what's next for you?
Well, it's hard to tell. You know, when I probably what I could say is that when I do tapestries, I always try to challenge myself. I always try to make one technically more difficult than the one before. And that's all the pathway I'm on right now. And I don't foresee any great, different, and new things. I'm getting a little too old for that. But uh, I think I'm going to continue what I'm doing right now and try to make it more complicated, but still, as you said, with the bold colors and strong shapes.
Do you teach at all?
No, I do not.
Have you ever thought about teaching?
I used to do some teaching when I was in medicine, but I've not done any teaching in tapestries. Actually, I've been surrounded. I've been with living in Charlottesville in Virginia. I was surrounded by good weavers and actually people who also have been in tapestry for a long time and were teaching. And I thought, oh, they're doing such a nice job. I'm not going to do that.
Well, we're going to move on to some questions from the audience. We have a lot,
All
and
right.
all of you who've been putting them in the chat, please put them in the Q&A. I know there's been a bunch up and pop up there, and some of them are really good questions. So let's see how many we can get to. Okay, Klaus?
Okay.
All right. Oh, the one where there's a red line across it, that one piece, there's just like a red line across the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know, did you add that in as you wove, or was that added on top like an embroidery or
Oh, no,
something?
no, no. You do it as you're weaving.
Okay.
You couldn't do it afterwards.
All right. I know there was a couple people said, do you embroidery in, some of those
No.
details? So that sounds like no.
Everything is woven.
Okay. Um, oh, this is from Rebecca Mesoff. Hi, Rebecca.
Uh-uh.
You and I are both students of James Koehler. Do
Right.
you have particular aspects of your work that were influenced by his teaching?
Oh, I think my entire work was influenced by his teaching. I mean, the style, the use of color, the use of shapes, just the whole thing he was the biggest influence I could think of.
Were
And
there some
Rebecca,
major words of, go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, Rebecca feels the same way, I'm sure. And we both met at a workshop that he gave.
Yeah, when I saw that you worked with James Kohler, I wondered if you and Rebecca um, had run into each other.
Oh yeah, we still see each other occasionally when she's here in the area teaching, and we'll get together. It's wonderful to see her.
Um, oh, this is from Joyce Rogers. Oh, good question, Joyce. She said, were you aware of Germany's Bauhaus tradition? The crisp architectural qualities in your work are reminiscent of Bauhaus design.
Of course, I was very much aware of it. Bauhaus was, not only influence here, but in Germany, it was a cultural and a political movement. Uh, but look at here, Annie Albers is one of probably the most prominent representative of. I was very much aware, and I like the style, and maybe I've been influenced by it as well.
Did you learn more about her and their work after you started weaving, or was it you just knew a lot? I think a lot of people in the United States, I would say, learn more about Annie once they start weaving. Is
No,
that true?
once I started reading, in particular when I was in the at Penland, and
Oh, right.
I learned more about her because I was close to Black Mountain College and all that.
Um, this is from Liz Adams. What fibers do you use?
It's
Like for
all
weft and warp?
it, it's the warp is cotton,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
Swedish cotton, and the wool is I I have to go back now. Much of the wool I use I got through James. Uh, when we lived in Colorado, we went down to Santa Fe maybe every 2, 3 months, and we sort of critiqued my work and we discussed items. And but I always bought a bag full of wool because he would have the biggest collection. You know, he would have 50 different reds, 30 different blues, and it was always just like a big candy shop. But now I'm getting my wool. I still have some of his wool. I sort of dilute it with others, and most of my wool comes from Harrisville.
Oh, okay. All right.
Occasionally, of course, when you go, when we travel or move around, and I always go into the yarn shops. And of course, the interesting thing always is when my wife and I would go into the yarn shop, they always want me to sit down in the corner while she's looking. I said, no, I'm the one.
Uh, oh, this is from Christine Williamson. This is a good question. When you were younger, growing up, did you do any kind of art?
No, I,
Nothing, huh?
oh no, I played soccer.
Well, somehow it prepared you. I'm not
Yeah,
sure how, but I'm sure
right.
somehow it prepared you. Um, Everybody keeps asking about where you get your wool. Hi, Adele. Adele Harvey's watching. Nice to see you. Um, Sorry, we can't have the all the same. Oh, this is what I was curious about. This is from Yvonne. What kind of loom do you use? We can kind of see them in the background. What you got back there?
Right now I'm using a Mirrors. That's about a 34-inch Mirrors.
Uh-huh.
Before I have used a Macumba, that was a big one. The Mirrors is more suitable here. It doesn't take much space and it's nice and easy to work with.
Now, is the Mirix vertical
Yeah.
and was the Maycomber horizontal?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you prefer one over the other
Well,
than space issues?
I think right now I really enjoy the Mirrors, except for the warping part.
Why is that? I don't
It's a,
have a Mirix, so I don't know.
it's a continuous warp. Uh, so if you make one little mistake, you have to start all over again.
Oh,
With the other looms, you do it like one, at a time. But yeah, I got used to it and I enjoyed it. Certainly very wonderful design, and I've did some research before I got into the Mirrors, and whoever asked for a upright loom, that was an end table loom as well. The Mirrors was always a recommendation.
uh, somebody is asking, I've lost it. I'll go ahead and find out who it was, but it was a great question. Oh, here it is. Rama is asking, what did your granddaughter think about your tapestry that you did?
I don't know. She saw a picture. I haven't heard any response.
Oh, well, she's famous.
Well, she probably forgot that she sent us a sketch. So she's in Texas and we're here, so it was little distance.
Somebody wants to know, do you use sumac to outline when you're doing tapestry?
I use sumac to. No, I don't. I only use sumac to on the beginning and the end just to fold it over
Oh, okay.
to
To finish it, to do the finishing?
create a little ridge to make it easier for the finishing.
Oh, okay.
I don't use sumac otherwise. I
Okay.
prob- I've tried it a couple of times, but I have not done it.
Thank you, Karen. Great question. Um, oh, Marianne Owen Beatty wants to know, do you live do you live in Maine and do you weave the coastal landscapes there? Did you live in Maine at one time?
No, but now I do. I live in Belfast.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. I thought you were still in the Southwest.
Oh no, we moved away from the southwest of from Colorado in '09 and lived in
Oh, wow.
Charlottesville for about over 10 years, and we've been here for almost 2 years now. And I'm with the Belfast Fiber Arts as a weaving community, which is that's great.
Ah, okay. So are you finding that you want to weave the landscape there like you did in the Southwest?
Not yet. I've done a couple of the one with the canoes, for example. That was stimulated by a picture I took up here in Maine, but otherwise, no, I haven't gotten there yet. Actually, I've gotten away from doing a landscape thing. More abstract shapes right now.
Um, do you weave from the front or the back?
Always from the back.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, good question, Sue.
That which is with the upright loom is okay, but the horizontal loom, I use a shaving mirror to see what's going on the other side. But it's just I've always done it, and I've been taught that way. But James did all this weaving from the back, and
Uh-huh.
uh, it seems to be the obvious, easiest thing to do.
Oh, April Price wants to know, would you tell us more about your Penland experience?
Oh,
When were you there?
that was wonderful. That was in let's see. I think it was in '05, I think. Uh, it was a good 2 weeks of this very intensive. We got together at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we, we stopped weaving and doing things at midnight. Uh,
Wow.
it was very intense, and I've done, probably I would say it was one of the most wonderful times in my life. We had good friends there. Yeah, Rebecca was there, and of course, was James was there. We had dinner together, and it was just a very wonderful, sociable weaving experience. Yeah.
I'm jealous. It sounds wonderful.
It was great.
It was great. Oh, this is another question from Rama. This is a great question. What is similar about being a doctor and being a tapestry weaver?
For me, it was nothing similar. Because when I was a physician, that was a high pressure. That was lots of emergencies, rapid things, quick to do, middle of the night, and that kind of stuff. Now, no, none of that. It's very relaxing, contemplative, no pressure.
But I wonder if like your preciseness, is that a word? Being so precise. That's kind of a thing that you need to be as a doctor, and you do it
Yes.
very well in your work.
I suppose that had a little influence, but let's say if I was an architect or an engineer, I would probably do just as well.
True,
As
true, true,
precise as
true.
possible.
Um, Adele wants to know, what is the source of the yarn you use? You said you use Harrisville. Do you
Right.
ever get custom dyed wool, or do you just take what's off the shelf?
Usually I take what's off the shelf, and then mix it and blend it. Uh,
Mm,
a couple of times I've had wool dyed specifically for a purpose for a piece, but usually there's so much available nowadays in colors, Harrisville in particular, that it's a luxury.
mm.
Years ago, that it was a little more difficult to find good wool, good color. But that's why James came in.
I love it. You went down there and got some of his wool.
Yeah.
That's great. I
Even
need
after
that. I need somebody to come to my house and take some of mine.
even after I moved to Virginia, I still got him to send me a palette of certain colors, and so it was wonderful.
That's great. Do you go back out west at all?
We not. I think several years ago was the last time. Yeah. Well, I was in California earlier this year, but we have not been in the Southwest area. No.
This is from Alan Shimako. Alan, I probably destroyed your name. I apologize. Do you ever experience yarn emergency? That is a great question.
Yes. I think everybody who weaves experiences that. You
So,
know,
what's your best go-to solution?
uh, have a drink and then think about it, and maybe change the color or something like that. Yeah,
Which goes back to our first question, which what is your favorite tea?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Um, okay, this is from Michaela McIntosh, and I'm probably going to ask this wrong because I'm not a tapestry weaver. Anyway, she was talking about that New York piece. Mandy, is there any way we can pull that back up? Um, do you weave all the way across on each row, or do you do each individual shape?
Uh, yes, wait and see what comes up.
There
You
you go. Thank you,
know,
Mandy.
because
Isn't she wonderful?
you can see some of these shapes. You know, I've out many of the shapes are the lines are angles and they're all outlined. And
Mhm.
if you do the outlining, you can only do one thing at a time. So that's why this took me about 4 months to do,
So you did it shape by shape.
shape by shape. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Huh, that's amazing. Great question, Michaela. Thank you so much. Um, Ella wants to know, Hoskin. Oh, hi. How do you choose your color palettes?
That's a good question. I cannot answer that because it's sort of intuitive. You know, I think, oh, this is gonna look great, and you know, I put the a ball of red next to the ball of green. Oh, that green doesn't work, and so I try another one. So it's just experimentation, but it's intuition, and I know there's sometimes a risk when you do tapestries that you don't get the right colors, and then that's a disaster. It's happened to me. You know, cut the whole piece off. You know?
Oh, oh, that hurts.
Yes,
Do you do like color wraps where you put the yarn together to see what they look
I've
like?
done it a couple of times, but generally I don't. No, I just stack them next to each other.
You have good intuition. Um, Christine Williamson said she wants to know what is the meaning of the shapes in the pandemic piece. Mandy, are you going to kill me if I ask you to bring that back up?
Which one?
I love looking at that one. Poor Mandy. I make our
Well,
life difficult.
Which one again? No, it's no problem. Which
The
one?
pandemic one, the
Oh,
one where we talked about. Uh,
yes, I do know this one.
okay, thanks.
Mhm.
There we go.
well,
She wanted to know if the shapes had meaning.
not really. I just started out with the one, and, I have a sketchbook where I have drawings I've done over the last 20 years. And often I go back and say, oh, maybe I should do that one. And I think the one on the far left was in the sketchbook, and I said, oh, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do some variations of that, and that's how it came about.
So in the sketchbook, did you add color or was that later?
Oh, no, oh, that's pencil drawings.
Pencil? Well, I have a question. Since I'm probably the most disorganized person I know, how do you organize your images that you find, whether it's on a phone or you draw them? Like if you draw them, you can keep them in a notebook.
Right.
But do you have like photo files that you go back through and look at? Do you print
You
out the
know,
photos?
even an iPhone is loaded up with a variety of pictures between our dogs and a house and garden and a couple of pieces that I like. And sometimes I go back and this is a weavable piece, and but I don't have any really organizational situation there.
It makes me feel better. Um, oh boy, they just keep coming in. Oh, Anne Marie Miller wants to know, this is a good question. Do you ever have a color that's kind of like your go-to color that it just keeps drawing you back and again and again?
Yeah, yes. The variety of reds, of course, because they're so strong. And I love orange and teal. So I'm a bit between those three. That's probably my go-to most of the time.
Linda wants to know if is red in all of your works, or did I just happen to choose your works that have red?
Not, I think I have a couple that don't have, but it's probably shows up in most pieces.
I love the red, so I probably did choose a lot of them that were red. Um, Jacqueline Fay wants to know, do you ever stitch your square shapes together?
No. Yeah, the only thing I've done is to sew, like in the pandemic, sew the small pieces on top of a larger one. But I don't sew the pieces together. No, I don't.
All right, this is a question from Florence Redderhoff. Florence, thank you for asking this because I didn't know if I should bring this up, if this was going off in the wrong direction, but I was dying to know. You are a dog judge, right?
Right. It used to
Did you
be.
do Westminster?
Oh yeah, probably over half a dozen times.
Really?
Yes.
Well, Florence wants to know about what was it like judging at Westminster?
Very exciting, challenging. First time I did that, I was intimidating, but I really
Oh,
enjoyed
really
it. I
is.
loved it. Yeah.
So did you start out by breeding dogs?
Yes. You have to.
What kind of dog?
Oh, we used to breed giant schnauzers a long time ago, and then gradually I went into judging, eventually after 20 years or so. And
You are a very eclectic man. That is so cool that you judge dogs.
no, it's a great thing because we judge all over the world, in Africa and Asia and South America, and it just got us all sorts of places. Great retirement plan.
Can you weave the dog's fur, hair?
I suppose you could, but I haven't done that.
Oh,
But people used
at least
to,
not intentionally, huh?
no, people used to knit with dog hair.
Oh.
Some breeds are really good for that.
Oh, good question, Shirley. This is from Shirley Berlin. Do you ever weave or work on two pieces at once, or more than one at a time, I should say?
Yes, sometimes, but particularly I have one that says, "Oh, this is getting a little boring." I move on to another piece, and then go back to the other one. I've done
I
not
like that.
now,
I'm bored.
not now anymore, but I used to have three looms back in Virginia, and it's different size pieces on it. So yeah, I did that.
That's so funny. Um, I'm assuming then when you're working on something and it works well, does that somehow go in the back of your mind of, oh, I'm going to have to try that again, or I'm never going to do this again? Did it ever happen?
Both. Uh, I've done, for example, a given piece of certain pattern, and I did it again in in a whole different set of colors. So
Ah, okay.
it's
Oh, all right.
the same design in structure, but in different color formation. It worked very well. But other than that, that would be very boring to do it again because it takes in the larger pieces takes 2, 3, 4 months to do a piece.
Mhm.
Same thing twice. No way.
This is a great question for all of us. Thank you, Fanny, for asking this. Oh no, this is from Eileen. Sorry, Fanny. Eileen Hoskins is asking this. How did you transition from being a hobbyist, in air quotes, to actually showing your work and kind of being represented and that sort of thing?
I think it came by itself. I started weaving tapestries around 2000, and I was in Colorado, and the local state fair always had an art show, and thought, oh, I'll go enter that. So that was sort of got me going, and I started having, exhibiting in a variety of shows in all over the
Mhm.
country. Um, I haven't done it recently, but it takes a lot of work. It's and nowadays you have to be very technically very adept because you have to all the entries electronically. But I've had a photographer in Charlottesville who did all that for me, and it worked okay. And
Yeah, your images are beautiful. And it's so important to get good photography.
yeah.
They're beautiful. Well, Liz said, it's so good to have a tapestry weaver. Thank you. Great image and talk. So, and I have to agree, this was wonderful today. Klaus,
Uh,
thank you so much for being on. We were so excited to have you here. I love your work. And I encourage you all to go to his website and see more beautiful, beautiful pieces. Now, will you post on your website if you're going to be in an exhibit somewhere?
I usually do it afterwards.
Oh,
Like I go at the end of the year, I look back, what did I do last year?
well, I'm going to keep an eye open. I would love to see your work in real life.
All right.
Thank you so much, Klaus.
You're welcome. Enjoyed it.
Please check out his website. It's anseltapestries.com. And like I said, there's more there. You can see more of his beautiful work. Oh, I could just look at this forever. So thank you so much for being on here today. We also want to thank our sponsor. We were glad to have our new sponsor, Logan Wheels. Go check them out. Wheels and looms. And talk about beautiful. They're like works of art. Go check them out. If you're looking for a wheel or a loom, go see what they've got in store for you. Okay. We also want to, if you're interested in being a sponsor, you can get together with other people. You can do your own sponsorship. If you have a business like Lojan's done, come join us. We would love to have you sponsor an episode. We've just signed up so many new artists for our next few episodes of Textiles and Tea. So we have app openings now for sponsorships. If you want to honor your guild, if you have an event coming up that you want to highlight, please go on our website and you can sign up for any episode that's available. And you can register online. If you have any questions, you can give us a call. We'll be glad to help you with that. So thank you so much for those who have sponsored us. We've got Spinning and Weaving Week coming up still. And I know you all are like, that's October, but we got to plan it now. And we want to start to, advertise it and promote it. So again, we're pushing people now. We got to get you lined up for it. So if you've thought about teaching, maybe you've got a new topic you want to try out. This is a good way to do it. So we are looking for people to teach for Art Sparks. We're also looking for Thread Talk episodes. If you have a topic that you want to share, maybe it's a theory that you have. It's not a sale. It's not talking about sales, but something that you feel very much strongly about, just like art TED Talks. You know what those are about. Well, we do Thread Talks. So we're looking for people who are interested in doing a Thread Talk or being part of the Art Sparks. Art Sparks are usually about 30 to 60 minutes. It could be having people do something hands-on, or it could just be an instructional. So come, if you have questions, give us a call. If not, sign up. You can do so online. We want to thank everybody for supporting HTA and Textiles and Tea by your donation or by your membership. If you would like to join or donate, you can do so at weavespindye.org. Your donations and your membership keep all these programs going, whether it's Spinning and Weaving Week, Trade Talks, whatever it is. So please, we appreciate all of you who have joined. And if you're thinking about it, now's a good time. Join us at weavespindye.org. If you've missed any episodes, you can watch those again on either Facebook or you can go to YouTube. If you like YouTube, be sure you subscribe because then you'll get a notice saying that a new episode's been uploaded. And next week, we've got Joanna Soroka. We're excited to see her and talk to her. So I hope you'll join us next week. I hope you have a great week and happy tea.